Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope wherever you are in your amazing part of the world that you've had an absolutely fantastic and sensational week. I know it's sort of difficult sometimes for us to try and keep upbeat and positive in the midst of life, and we all have a life and we all have challenges that get thrown at us every now and then, whether it's a work obstacle or having an issue with a family or a family matter, a passing of somebody, or just plain just feeling a little bit sorry for yourself. And I mean, it's a time of the year where I think when the emotions are all in Cancer, that we can have some of these sort of little pockets of not so much down days, but sort of changing emotions. And I know my box has been full in this last week, and people sort of saying to me, how come I'm feeling a little bit strange? Well, it's just the planetary configurations. You know, we've had a few super moons and things like that, and we have a new moon and a full moon every month. But when you add that to the Cancer time of the year, where we're all supposed to nurture ourselves a little bit more, take a little bit better care of ourselves, give ourselves a little bit of downtime, sometimes we can find it a little bit overwhelming as these emotions sort of flow in and out. What do we do with them? And I know I'm no different to everybody else. I have my times like that too, but I suppose I have a little bit more of an understanding, being an astrologer, to work with the energies instead of working against them. Anyway, the Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Wheel of Fortune. Now, this is one of my favourite cards, and it's always been a favourite card in the classroom with the students. When they see this card, they think, yippee doodle dandy, we're going to get some money. Yes, it can be an elevation in money, and sometimes it can mean an overseas trip, but more importantly, it usually means completion phases. It usually means that we've completed a phase or an area of our life that we've been working on for a very, very long time. So in that way, it's an extremely positive card. It also means that we have many different opportunities that we could take. We could go in many different directions. We just need to be careful, because not all directions are always positive. There's always someone there trying to take us down a peg or two, or trying to change our mind on what we think or what we know is right for us. So be careful of that too. But the main thrust of this is completion phases. Could be some elevation in money, could possibly be an overseas trip if that's what you're looking to do. But the most important thing is give yourself a good pat on the back, because it means you've been working really hard on loads and loads of issues that are now coming to a completion, that you've really put the effort in. You're really going to get what you put into the situation is now going to come back to you. And, a lot of people sort of say, oh, I worked really hard on that and didn't get the outcome that I wanted. Well, maybe it wasn't the outcome that you perceived you wanted, but maybe it was still the right outcome. Not everything that we do in life do we get our own way or the perceived outcome that we believe to be right for us. But in hindsight, when we look back in time to come, we think, yeah, I'm pleased it worked out that way, because it actually put us on a better path or put us on a new direction in the right way for where we need to be going. So we've got a really busy time now with astrology at the moment. We've got the sun in the last few degrees of Cancer. So it's always an exciting time, I think, when the sun's in Cancer, because, as I said at the top of the show, it's a time of the year where we've got to nurture ourselves, take a little bit of a breath and sort of slow down a little bit and do something that makes our soul feel good, something that's sort of not so much mothering ourselves, but giving ourselves a little bit of downtime, giving ourselves permission to have a little bit of downtime. And I think in this very, very busy world, we forget to do that. We forget to take a little bit of me time. And I know that was one thing that came out of COVID, when we were all forced to sort of stay at home and contemplate our navel. We all of a sudden found reasons why we should take care of ourselves a little bit better and take some time for ourselves. But I think, unfortunately, as we've got back to our real lives, we've forgotten that lesson that we learned. So it's really important to schedule in, even if it's only 5 minutes a day. A little bit of downtime goes a very, very long way. We have what's known as the Arabian part, or the part of fortune. Now, this is not where you're going to find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but this is what makes you feel as if you're in a position of empowerment at the moment. So the part of fortune, to me, is giving you a little bit of a boost to your own self-power, is conjunct or holding hands the moon. Now, the moon is currently sitting in the fabulous sign of Leo. And I say the fabulous sign of Leo because my moon's in Leo. So I always feel very empowered when the moon's in Leo. And there's a little bit of an a cheeky sort of saying we used to say as astrologers, that if you've got the moon in Leo and you get out of bed and your hair doesn't go right, you're having a bad hair day, you may as well stay home and not do anything. Because if you think of Leo, the sign of the mane, of the lion with its beautiful mane, and it's very proud of its mane, well, you think of a person that's got the moon in Leo and they really are governed by their hair. So you usually find people that have moon in Leo tend to spend a lot of time on their hair or spend a lot of money at the hairdresser and on hair products. Just a little bit of trivia there for you. Okay, so we also have the Mercury, the planet of communication, is sitting in Leo. It's not conjunct anything. It's not holding hands with anything, but it means at the moment that you can put your message across, no matter what your star sign is, in a very powerful, very practical sort of way. And I'm going to use the word practical here with Leo, because with you being so sort of forthright and clear in your communication, it comes across as being very practical, very well thought out, very articulated, great delivery, that you're very clear, you're very concise, very powerful in your message, that you're sort of saying, this is how it is, not what I want it to be. These are the facts, and it's very determined, it's very powerful. So be aware, if you've got to go into any meetings this particular week, that you are in the best shape. You're well prepared. You know exactly what you want to talk about, what you want to get across, but don't forget to put your listening ears on. It's equally as important to listen to the other side or the other person as it is to get your message across. Now, sometimes with the Mercury here in Leo, sometimes this can lead to sort of very powerful discussions and sometimes arguments or people not listening. And that's why I stress the point, make sure you have your listening ears on and then articulate your answer to the question that's been asked. Don't waffle on, don't go off on a tangent. They don't want a novel, they want the headlines. Then if somebody asks you to please elaborate or please extend on that, then that's your opportunity to shine. Now, don't forget, we're talking about the Leo energy here. So you have the opportunity to shine if you don't present yourself in a bombastic way, or that you don't give them too much information. Give them enough to whet their appetite that they want more. That's really, really important. We have Saturn, the planet of discipline and restrictions in life, is sitting currently in the sign of Pisces. Now, this will affect more Pisces, Cancer, Scorpios. It will also affect Virgos, but it will flow on to all the other remaining signs as well. But they're the four predominant ones where Saturn in Pisces is going to really affect. Now, Saturn in Pisces is asking you to become extremely disciplined. He's asking you to have all your ducks in a row, have everything ready if you need to go into a battle, if you need to fight for something, if you need to be on top of your game. This is the time that Saturn is asking you to become a grown-up. Don't be silly. Put your best foot forward, but make sure that you've done your homework. Make sure that you've done the research. Make sure you don't go in to the discussion or the meeting without the information that is required. Otherwise, you're going to come across as being ill-informed, ill-educated, or unprepared, which sometimes isn't the issue, particularly if you're going into a serious meeting, or if you say you were going into your boss and you want to rise in money or salary, then you're asking them to give you a pay rise on these reasons, that, you know, that you're not just the best worker in the team, but you've brought this, this, and this, and this, and this. You know, you don't go in there and say, hey, mate, I want a pay rise. You know, you've really got to sell yourself and you've got to give them reasons why. Now, Saturn will be retrograde or going backwards until November this year. So we still have quite a few months of this energy, and the energy will only start to intensify and build over this period of time. If you're working correctly with the energy of Saturn, you have nothing to fear. It will just give you more determination, more ability to stay focused and really hone in on the job at hand or the situation at hand, or particularly if there's any legal or government matters that you need to attend to. This is perfect, particularly if you're a Pisces, then followed by a Cancer and a Scorpio. So, and a Virgo is the last sign that we'd be looking at there of the real intensity. But for the other remaining signs, we still need to be vigilant. This is a time when we can make great inroads. We can get some issues sorted out. We can have conversations that we haven't been able to have before and really sort out matters in our own mind, or become more disciplined or more organised around the home and the workplace. We also have Neptune, the planet of illusion or delusion, and also the planet of creativity, is in the last few degrees of Pisces also. This is also retrograde until December this year. Now, how Neptune works here, yes, Neptune still is retrograde, so it means that we need to be very, very careful that people aren't deceiving you. People aren't going about their business and deliberately trying to undermine you, deceive you, cheat you, do the wrong thing by you. If that's the case, this is the time when Neptune is retrograde, these situations will come to light. It's almost like somebody shining a light on a dark tunnel. All of a sudden you see the way forward. So again, I'm looking at the signs of Pisces, Cancer and Scorpio, opposite sign of Virgo. Not quite as much for the remaining 8 signs, but there's a little bit of a filter there. So it's asking you then to make sure that you're not deceiving anybody else. If somebody's been deceiving you or trying to cheat you out of something, this will be the time that the information will come to light. Yes, I appreciate we're human, and if somebody's done the wrong thing by you, we have the right to get a little bit cranky or a little bit emotional about it. Let that only be for a very short time. Turn that energy into something as a positive way to resolve this situation, or how you're going to move forward and proceed forward to resolve this situation. Put that anger, put that sort of aggressive, upset sort of energy, twist it around into something positive and give you the energy to perform these tasks that is absolutely sort of necessary. We still have Uranus, the planet of the unusual and unexpected, sitting in Taurus. Now, this will be affecting Tauruses, Capricorns and Virgos, and the opposite sign is Scorpio. So for those people, they still need to be aware that things can happen out of the blue, things can happen out suddenly, out of nowhere, things that you think that you've got under control, particularly when it comes to finances and the things that are important to you, may be challenged during this time, because Uranus's job is to come in, shake everything up and say, do you really want it that way? Is that really how it's meant to be? And sometimes if you've been doing the wrong thing or overlooked something or haven't been as honest in your dealings with things, then Uranus will bring this to light. That is Uranus's role. Uranus doesn't sort of look at something and say, oh, you've been good 99% of your life, we'll avoid that 1%. No, Uranus's role is to shake things up, bring them out of nowhere. And if you've been doing the wrong thing, then you will be caught. It will be brought to the light, so that things can be suddenly put on the right path. If you've been working well with the Uranian energy, then it can be a time of great reward, because things can come to you really quickly. You can be offered that plum job, that plum opportunity, something that you only ever dreamed of, that you thought would never happen in your lifetime, but it'd be nice to. These are the sort of rewards that Uranus can bring if you're being true to yourself and you're not trying to cheat or deceive anybody else. And I know that I'm talking a lot about deception, but there's been quite a bit of deception around, particularly in this last 12 months, where you see a lot of things in the media and things like that, things coming out to light where people that have got away with things for a very long time, whether it's underpaying people, whether it's governments, they're all coming to light, because we can't move forward unless we bring these things out into the open and clean it up. Because now that we've got Pluto that's in Capricorn until the end of this year, the early part of 2024, Pluto's really ramping everything up. So it's sort of almost like Pluto's shining the light on other energies like Uranus and Neptune and Saturn as well, sort of saying we can't allow these discrepancies to go on anymore. If people have been getting away with things and doing the wrong things and hurting other people or being deceitful to other people, now we're going to bring it to life. We're going to make them to be accountable for this, and we're going to make the world a better place. That is what Pluto's role is, and Pluto's joining hands in a roundabout fashion with all these other planets, slower moving, more in-depth planets, to bring about the changes globally that we need. But again, it comes back to a personal level. You have nothing to fear if you haven't done the wrong thing. If you've been a law-abiding citizen, you've always tried to be the best person you can be as fair as possible, be good to your friends and your relatives, you have nothing to fear. But if you've been a greedy sort of person that's run roughshod over people and tried to deceive people and tried to take more than what's rightfully yours, then watch out, because the planets are going to come along and give you a little bit of a taste of your own medicine and bring things to light. So we're going to talk with Elizabeth now in North Oh, we haven't got Elizabeth yet. We're going to keep talking about astrology for a moment. So it's really interesting, though, that how astrology works. I mean, I've been working with astrology now over 40 years. And when I first got into it, it was a little bit of about something that I was just interested in. And I thought it was something that would be fun to learn. I didn't realize it was such an in-depth research sort of science, and there were so many technicalities there and so many things to learn. And I suppose I was fortunate enough that I always enjoyed mathematics, because in the very early stages prior to computers, we had to do everything by hand, and the mathematical calculations just to get a chart ready to work with a person was over 10 hours. So you can imagine, of 10 hours of work, mathematics, pen on paper, making sure that you checked and rechecked your calculations, because one little slip up could make a huge difference to a chart, and you'd be halfway through and you think that piece doesn't fit, and you'd go back and look, oh, blast, I made a mistake then. So we're going to talk with Elizabeth now in North Yorkshire. Are you there, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, please, sweetie?
I would like to look at career, please. Is there a new job out there for me?
Yeah, well, the first thing that they were showing me, the first symbol they were showing me, Elizabeth, as you were asking that question, was the symbol of endings, change and transformation. So I can only take from that yes, there's going to be a new job, because there's the coming to the end of the current situation. It's interesting, though, because the other energy that they were sharing with me from Spirit was the fact that this was a slow decision, Elizabeth. It wasn't something you got out of bed last week and decided, great, I'd like a new job. This has been building for a period of time, has it not?
Yes.
Yeah, and in that way, I think it's good, Elizabeth, because you've really looked at everything from every angle. You haven't just sort of had a bad day at work and thought to myself, I'd like a new job. You've sat down, you've looked at everything, you've looked at your finances, you've looked at how long you've been in the job, where the job could take you, and you've come to the conclusion that there really isn't much further you can go in this role. So to sort of put some sparkle back into your work life, it's time for a change. And I think that's a good thing. I wish I could say it was going to be this week, Elizabeth. I'm sort of seeing the month of September. So I'm looking at that as being sort of the stronger time when the change will be for a job. But I'm going to ask you to sort of go back, have a quick look at your resume or your CV, whatever you call it, and make sure that it's up to the minute. You know, make sure it's punchy, it makes you sort of stand out, that you've got something really exciting and wonderful to bring to a new company. And then just do a little double check to make sure that, you know, there isn't any skill that you might need to update or anything like that, so that it puts you in the best position. I mean, you know, going to apply for a new job is a really big thing. You know, we've got to make sure we get the resume right. We've got to make sure our skills are up to the minute. But we also have to make sure that, you know, we have a couple of nice outfits to wear so that you walk in there and you feel powerful. And I think that's the important thing, because I think a lot of jobs are won and lost on how we present at the interview. Yes, the skill set is important, but I think it also comes across at how well dressed we are, how confident we are, the types of questions we ask, that we want to know about the position. You know, do your research on the company if it's really something that you want to go for. And I can't see that you're going to fail. But what I'm seeing also, Elizabeth, was the job was going to be a little bit closer to home, which will be nice.
Yes.
And I don't know that it's completely out of the type of work you're doing now. I just see it as being more robust. And I don't know how to describe that, because they never show me what the actual job is that you're doing. But to me, this just had a more solid, robust sort of feel. And I felt really comfortable, you know, like I really feel like, you know, you walk into this job and you're there a couple of weeks and you think, this is really good. I feel like I'm home. This is where I'm meant to be. You know, like you can see yourself being there a long time. So that's all good. So have you been making some changes to the home too, Elizabeth? Because I kept seeing some furniture being moved around. Okay, well, that's where we're going to leave Elizabeth now. We're going to talk with Rachel in Alvarado, Texas, and I've probably pronounced that wrong, Rachel. How are you today, Rachel?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you?
Well, am I able to speak to any of my loved ones from the other side?
Sweetie, with the couple of minutes that we've got to do this, unless they jump in and give me something specific. It's easier for me if you give me a question. If they want to chime in, I'll certainly give you everything I get.
Okay, can you just give me any advice for my future relationship status or love life?
Okay, so no one special at the moment in your life, Rachel?
Well, I did meet somebody. We only been together like 2 weeks, though. But I've been single
Okay.
8 years, so.
Okay, can I just have his first initial, please? I don't need the name, just his first initial, please, sweetie.
K.
Okay. That just gives me something to work with. Really, really interesting, because you've got quite a choir on the other side that have all been sitting there with bated breath. It's like they've all been at the movies or at a concert, and they're all just waiting. So, and I think they've been waiting for you to meet this lovely man. You know, it's sort of like they've been holding their breath and fingers and toes crossed, and wow, it's happened. So I think they're all pretty excited. That's good. It's a fair mixture of people. It's not just all females or not just all males. It's quite a crowd there. Look, I couldn't tell you one from another. There's at least 10 people there, and they've all been just waiting for this event. So this is good. Look, I feel the situation, this new romantic situation, I think will develop slowly. I don't see it as being a fast situation. It's a very slow situation. You're both very cautious. So I'm taking from that maybe he hasn't been in a relationship for a while too, or is just super cautious, but that's good. You're taking your time to get to know each other. I feel really comfortable with this. I don't feel uncomfortable with this. It's, look, some of your friends could turn around and say, oh, well, you know, yeah, he's nice, but, well, that's none of their business. As long as you're happy and he makes you happy and you feel comfortable and he's comfortable with you, it's nobody else's business. I actually feel this is going to develop into a really, really nice friendship, and then into a really nice, serious relationship that's going to go the distance. It's sort of, it's a mixture of being sort of giggly schoolgirl feeling and then being sort of very serious, very grown up. I'm taking my time, I'm analysing everything, but at the same time I still feel this excitement in my, you know, this tingling in my body, the excitement of being like a teenager falling in love for the first time. So I think all of those emotions are wonderful, Rachel, and that's good. It's about time. I think you certainly know now what you want in a relationship and what you won't accept in a relationship. I can't see anything there that I don't like about him. He just seems a very decent man.
Yeah, he's very nice. So I'm just like wondering, okay, is this a trick or what?
Yeah, no, he is. You know, what you see is what you get. There's no BS there. If you ask him a question, he'll give you an honest answer to the best of his ability. And if he says, I don't want to talk about it, it's not he's got anything to hide. It's just sort of like, well, what bearing does that have on us? You know what I mean? Like, I like him. I really do like him. He's a very decent sort of man. I think some people sort of look at him and think maybe you could have done a little bit better. I don't agree with that. You know, he's very honest. I'd rather somebody be a little tiny bit rough around the edges and be very honest and open and you know what you're getting than somebody putting on an act, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and that's why I've been confused, because I have, you know, a set of people who know him who are telling me things, but what I see in him is good. So I'm like, okay. So
Look,
just trying not to listen to others and follow my heart.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you can only go with how you see him and what he presents to you. You know, everybody will have a slightly different version of the truth. You know, you've only got to look at Chinese whispers. You know, something starts out here and it's completely different when it gets to the other end. Well, that's the same when people are assessing someone. And you're going to see probably a different side to him to what they've seen too, because they're not in a romantic situation. They may have been his friend or his work colleague. Well, you know, we're not all soft and gentle when we're working with someone. Sometimes you can be a bit abrupt and forthright, and particularly if you're the boss, you've got to get the job done. So, you know, like, just follow your heart. As long as there's nothing there that sends off, I work on the rule of 3 strikes and you're out. I didn't see any strikes with him. You know, and if you work, and I'm talking about 3 major ones, if you get 3 major ones, then they're out no matter what, because you know then this is not right. But there's nothing there that I can see that would make me concerned. If anything, I think he's a bit slow in sort of coming forward with how he feels. But look, is that a major crime? That just means to me that he's not rushing into anything. He's giving you a chance to make sure you feel comfortable too. And, you know, it'll develop at its own natural pace. So I think he's wonderful. I can see nothing but happiness for the two of you.
You've helped me a lot. Thank you.
You know, you've been through so much, Rachel. And I mean, you know, you came out of a situation previously all those years ago where you were literally like a skeleton. You know, you needed to put some layers of flesh back on you because you'd been hurt so severely. Well, here you've got a man who is aware of that without you even telling him, and he's just taking it very gently, making sure that you're very comfortable. And I think that's wonderful.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
I really like him. I think he's a lovely man. And look, enjoy this time of new love and, you know, gazing into each other's eyes and losing all sense of time. It's nice to feel a bit like a teenager again.
Yeah, it's just really shocker because after 8 years, it's like, okay, maybe I am meant to be single. Then bam, here he came.
No. It's just the right time now, Rachel. Anyway, sweetie, that's where we've got to leave it. The show comes to an end really, really quickly. It's always lovely to speak with everybody around the world. This week I want to leave you with an old song, probably back in the 70s, and now I'm showing my age, but it's a song that I think has many different layers. I know when the song was written, it was written about a broken heart and, you know, how stupid he was and should never have done it. But to me, I always look at this song in a positive light because I feel that it's something we can all do, is turn around and stand tall. And it's a beautiful song about a broken heart, but I always look at it as being a positive song that, you know, you need to stand up for yourself, you need to stand tall, be proud of who you are. Burton Cummings is his name, probably had many other hits, but this was my favourite one of his. And it's just a song that every now and then I put it back on the turntable and I just sing loudly to it, out of tune, of course. And I just think it's an amazing song of, you know, getting over yourself, getting over your broken heart and moving forward. And I think we can all do a little bit more of that in the coming week, of standing up for ourselves, standing tall and believing in ourselves, no matter what's happening in our lives, that we can and we are meant to be here on this planet. And, you know, every day is a blessing that we wake up. And so until next week, stand tall and enjoy Burton Cummings. Bye for now.